Hello everyone and welcome to our Boxmode webinar. My name is Vlad and I work in marketing at Boxmode. We are live on YouTube and Facebook. Please note that there is around 20 seconds broadcast lag, which will cause communication delay. We are going to start in a minute. In the meantime, let me know if you can hear me okay. Just write something in the chat. Those of you who want to watch this webinar and not able to attend it live, no worries. The recording of this webinar will be uploaded right after we finish to our YouTube channel. So I'm wondering if you can hear me. Let me know in the chat. I don't see no messages yet. Hello John, thanks for joining, thanks for letting me know. Well, I think we have waited enough, and I think we can start. Hello once again, everyone. My name is Vlad, and I'm product marketing manager at Boxmode. Thank you so much for joining. This is going to be our agenda for today. First, we will discuss new updates. July was rich with new features, and we will briefly cover them. We'll briefly cover what was implemented. Then we will move on to the main subject of today's discussion. Is the question of mobile responsiveness of Boxmode websites and advanced customization options. So we have scheduled around 30 minutes for the main part, and then I will answer your questions. So without any further introductions, let's start by reviewing what was implemented in July. So we have changes to our subscription plan with the introduction of new features. From now on, we no longer have a basic annual plan at $33 per year. Those of you who already purchased it, don't worry. The terms of the basic subscription plan are grandfathered. So now we have the light and the growth packages. You can compare them on the pricing page. You can see their limitation and which features are included in each package, and decide which one suits for your needs. So let's start reviewing the newly implemented functionality for the free plan. So we have upgraded the inline editor, and now you are able to control the headings on your website, and headings are being used to logically structure the text content of your web page. There are 6 levels of headings, where the first one is the most important and the 6th one is the least important. The first level of heading usually denotes the main title of the web page. The second level heading usually denotes the title of a section. The third level is title of subsection, and so on. Remember to use only one first level heading on per page on your website. This is a good practice in terms of search engine optimization. And also you can now control the spacing between letters. You can make it bigger or smaller, depending on what you need. Also you can control the spacing between lines using this tool here, like this. And you can add bulleted or numbered lists. So also we have updates to the section widget. We have added the team and the company's category, which will provide you with a number of presets that could serve as a good framework to showcase the companies you have worked with, which is a great idea to display on your website, as it will bring you extra credibility points. Another huge addition is a store widget, and here in this by clicking on this store icon, you can add and manage the online store widget. We have a free version of the store. Of course, it comes with limitation, like you can have only up to 10 products using this demo store. There is going to be no inventory tracking, no checkout or multilingual options. And if you want to gain access to advanced functionality of the store, you can upgrade. And on the store payment page, you also will be able to examine different subscription packages, gauge their prices and limitations. You can choose between annual and monthly subscription and decide which one is used best for your needs. So the store feature is too comprehensive, and we're not going to cover it in detail. And we'll schedule a series of webinars dedicated to setting up and managing an online store in the near future. So now let's review some of the features that come with paid subscription. So you can control the so-called link rel attribute of any link on your website. You can enable no opener option that grants extra security by preventing malicious links from taking control over an open tab. Also, you can have the no refer option that will grant extra privacy by not showing to the target website that it is you who referred to that website via link. These both options are enabled by default initially, and also you can activate the no follow option that will that when enabled, it will prevent sharing the so-called link juice with the target website, which is an important tool for search engine optimization. And those of you who are not familiar with the aforementioned concepts of link rel attribute, you could check out our post in Facebook group, where this question was covered in more detail, and I will ask my colleague to share a link to this post in the chat with you. And also invite to join our Facebook group. Here we post unique content on topics related to Boxmode functionality and to building online presence in a broader sense. We share useful tips and tricks tagged as guidebook. We share tips on web design, marketing, entrepreneurship, and many more. Also, after the webinar ends, we'll add a post here where you can ask questions also, and I will answer them within 24 hours. So back to our features. Now we have also added the HTML iFrame widget that you can find in the markup tab. So with the help of HTML iFrame widget, you can basically embed third-party external widgets to your website. And here you can also add HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code, which is basically means extensive customization possibilities. And in a moment, we'll examine how exactly you can embed some of the useful functionality to your website with the help of this tool. And the last one is we have added the advanced analytics that you'll find in the project settings in the analytics tab. You can integrate with Google Tag Manager, Google Analytics, Hotjar, and Facebook Pixel. It's really easy to connect with them. You can just paste the respective ID from the respective service and click on Connect. So with Analytics now, you can measure your marketing campaign performance, track conversions, and so on. And I'll ask my colleague to share a respective link to more detailed overview of the analytic tool. Well, this is it for new features, and there's a lot more to come, so stay tuned. And let me check the chat. Have any questions so far? Can I use custom domain with a free plan? No, John, you can attach the custom domain only to the paid subscription now. Okay, so now let's move on to the main subject of today's discussion, is advanced customization options and mobile responsiveness. And here's what we are going to discuss. First, we'll talk about the layers menu in the Boxmode builder and when you can find this menu useful. Then we'll talk about the CSS panel and how it can be used to address some questions of mobile responsiveness. We will examine a couple of cases of bad mobile responsiveness and how you can fix them using the CSS panel. And as a side note, I would like to say that all our templates, sections and widgets, they are mobile responsive by default, but sometimes when trying to customize a website, unintentionally one can redefine certain parameters, certain settings, which then will lead to the website that doesn't fit well on the mobile screen. No worries, we're not going to get very technical during this webinar, and no prior coding knowledge is required for you to follow along. And lastly, we will review the HTML iFrame widget in more detail. We'll embed a couple of third-party services. And so those of you who are not familiar with the concept of embedding, you will learn how this works and how this could help you to add some extra useful functionality to your website. So let's go back to the Boxmode and discuss the layers menu. If you notice, in essence, each element on the web page is a rectangular box. So when you hover over the element, like for example this text or this button or this circled image, for example, you see its borders are highlighted to show the dimensions of the element. Yeah. So basically a web page, it consists of many rectangular boxes that are grouped together, and these boxes are stacked one inside another. And the layers menu, which you can open by clicking on this tab in this control panel, it represents a web page structure. So basically a web page is a tree-like structure where each node represents a respective element, a respective box. And using this layers menu, you can see how different elements on the page are related to each other. You can see the page hierarchy and the place of each element in this hierarchy. So for example, this text and this text are nested inside this container. At the same time, this container is nested inside another container which stands one level up in the hierarchy, and so on until we reach the top level container. No worries if it sounds confusing, you will see where I'm going with that once we will touch on the subject of mobile responsiveness and the relative units. So what is the practical application of this functionality? So let's take a look at this testimonials section. We have 3 testimonials here. Yeah. But what if we want to add more? Yeah, and be consistent with the design at the same time. So what we can do here is just pick the element that represents a testimonial item. We can copy it. We can move one level up the tree to the parent of this element and click on paste. Now, as you can see, this element was added as the last child of this parent container. Or we can duplicate the entire section by clicking on the duplicate option like this, for example. So this way you can add and copy the new items to the section. Or for example, you can let's say you want to move this section with images somewhere else on the website. So what you can do here is, again, you can open the layers menu and pick the container that represents this section with pictures. You can cut it and you can move one level up and paste it, and it will be added to another place. So basically, with this tool, it is easy to duplicate, copy, cut, and paste elements of your web page and move them from one place to another place if needed. But here is another useful application of the layers menu. Say we want to change the background image of a section. So what we usually do is we pick the container, click on brush icon, and here we can see the thumbnail preview of the currently uploaded background image. And we can re-upload one from computer or from library. And now let's take a look at this section. So let's again pick the container, click on brush icon, and now we do not see any thumbnail of that picture that was uploaded. So why is that? It happens because the container we picked on the canvas, it overlaps the container with the background image. And to pick the required container, we will need to open the layers menu and pick it from here. And then we can customize it the way we need. So not always the element you need can be easily picked on the canvas. And when it happens, you can use the layers menu to pick the element that you want. So these are some practical examples of how you can leverage the layers menu. Okay. So let's move on to another point. It's a question of mobile responsiveness, and we need to start with some basic aspects to understand the cause of bad mobile responsiveness. So as we discussed, each element on the web page is the rectangle, basically. And obviously a rectangle has a width and the height. So let's take a look at this simple page where I have added the container, and inside the container I have added the paragraph of text. And let's examine the width and the height of this paragraph using the CSS panel that you can find here. This is it. And go to the layout. So we won't be covering all options in the CSS panel as we are limited in time. We will discuss only the width and the height as it is relevant to the question of the mobile responsiveness. So here we can see that the width of this paragraph is 610 pixels and the height is 490 pixels, which looks good on the desktop. But let's switch to the mobile view. And now you can see that the paragraph does not fit inside the viewport of the mobile device. And as a part of this paragraph, it goes beyond the scope, the visible scope of the mobile. So this is an example of a bad mobile responsiveness. So why does it happen? To answer this question, we need to understand units in web design. Units can be divided into two groups, absolute and relative units. And the example of absolute units is the pixels, as we just discussed, centimeters, inches, and other units that are constant and they don't change. And the width of the paragraph in our example is 610 pixels, which when converted is approximately 16.14 centimeters or 6.35 inches. As a side note, I would like to mention that I'm omitting here a so-called pixel density when converting pixels to centimeters or inches, as it is not relevant to convey the point. So 16.14 centimeters is pretty wide for the mobile screen, and that is why the paragraph does not fit. The example of a relative unit is percentage. And percentage units are relative to the width of the parent container. So, and as we discussed in the website, one element can be nested inside another. And this text is nested inside this container. So if we say that the width of the paragraph is going to be, let's say, 90% instead of 610 pixels. What it means that this paragraph will take 90% of the width of its parent container where this paragraph is nested. Yeah, and since container itself takes 100% of the width, the paragraph does not extend beyond the visible area of the screen after we changed from pixels to percentages. So it sits nice inside the viewport. But here are a couple of issues with what we just did. If we switch back to the desktop view, we will see that now the paragraph stretches across the entire width of the screen, which is not very nice, as it is really hard to read long lines of text. Yes, so setting the 90% in this case is not really suitable, so let's revert it back to 610 pixels. So what we can do to to make it look good on the mobile device without messing with a desktop view. So if we unfold the width option here, we'll see that we have a control over the minimal width and the maximal width of the element. So if we say that the maximal width of this paragraph is going to be 90%, like this, it means next, in case if there is enough space on the screen, yeah, for a 610 pixel paragraph to fit in, it's going to be displayed in full width. But if there is no space on the screen to fit 610 pixel paragraph in, it will take no more than 90% of the width of the parent container where this paragraph is nested. So by setting the max width for this paragraph, we made it responsive, and we made it not extend beyond the scope, the visible scope of the viewport, and at the same time it looks okay on the desktop. So this small trick, by adding the max width to the element in percentages, it resolves the responsiveness issue. But here's another thing. You noticed that the part of this paragraph, the part of the text inside the paragraph is outside the vertical scope. Yeah, so, and which is not really good, as it overlaps with another paragraph below. So this happens because the height of the container is set in absolute units in pixels. So it is exactly 490 pixels, and it is not going to change. It's always going to be 490 pixels on all devices, which is not good in this case. And this is also one of the most frequently encountered issues with mobile responsiveness, and that can easily be fixed by simply setting the height of the element to auto, like this. So when we set the height of the element to auto, the height of the element will be automatically adjusted to contain all the content inside the element. So you might ask, why would I need to manipulate all these properties, and shouldn't we provide you with tools that do not require making all these alterations? As I mentioned, by default, all our templates and widgets and sections are mobile responsive, and no additional work is required on your end to make it look good on the mobile screen. But here's the thing. When you are trying to change the size of the element by grabbing it and making it bigger or smaller, like squeezing it, moving it like this, so it resets the initial width and the height parameters of this box. And after this manipulation, the element loses its responsiveness, and you can see this after we switch to the mobile view. So the responsiveness is breaking. And now we know how to fix it. All we need to do is open to our CSS panel, go to the layout, set the max width, let's say it's going to be 85%, and switch the height to auto. So such approach can be applied to fixing other elements on your website if the element lost its responsiveness due to aforementioned manipulations. Yeah. So here's another example of when you can encounter bad responsiveness. Let's add the markup container here. And if we examine this container, we'll see that it has the 150 pixels height by default. And as you already know, that setting the height of some element in absolute units will break its responsiveness if the content inside the container requires more vertical space to fit in. So we need to remember to change the height to the auto after adding some, let's say, image, for example, inside the container. So at first it's not going to look good, but when we go to our CSS panel and we can switch it to auto, and now it fits exactly the size of the image. So and another example of the bad mobile responsiveness, this time the opposite. So let's take a look at this form. By default, this form looks good on the mobile and on the desktop. But let's say you decided to make it smaller and grab it like this and squeeze it, make it like this, for example. And now let's take a look how it shows on the mobile device. Now you can see it just looks bad as it takes like half of the screen. So why this happens? Let's take a look at the width. And now we can see that the width of this form is 50%. Well, 50% from a smaller screen, it doesn't look good, yeah. Where 50% of a bigger screen, like a half, it looks okay. So what we can do here to fix it is to again open the CSS panel, open the width, and here we can set the minimal width of this form. We can say that the minimal width of this form should be, for example, 290 pixels, like this. So this way we say that the width of the element should be at least 290 pixels or more, and it cannot be less than 290 pixels. And also remember to reset the height of the element to auto, like this. So and now it looks good on the mobile and on the desktop. So there are a lot more tricks that you can do with the CSS panel, but we are limited in time today, and what we discussed can be summarized here. So some key takeaways: how to deal with eventual responsiveness issues. Again, by default, every element is responsive, but it might break when manually changed. And if you face this issue, use the max width CSS property to limit the extent to which the element can stretch horizontally. It will help to avoid situations where the element stretches beyond the scope of the mobile device. So also set the element's height to auto. So the element's height will be calculated automatically based on the content nested inside the element. And in case some element looks too small on the mobile device, you can use the min width CSS property to ensure that the element is big enough to look good on the mobile device. And of course, if you faced such issue and still struggle to fix it, you can always contact our customer support for assistance. Our support team received extended training in HTML and CSS, and they have a good understanding of these underlying principles and can help you. Also, we are constantly working on improvements of our platform, and it is on our roadmap to make the website customization flow even more flawless and foolproof. Okay. So and now let's move on to the final part of our webinar and add some extra functionality to our website using the HTML iFrame widget. So let's say we are building a landing page for the webinar where people can learn more about it and register. And let's say also we want to add a countdown timer to show how soon the webinar starts. Yeah, Boxmode does not have such feature by default. So how can the HTML iFrame widget help? So what we can do here is we can Google countdown timer and embed. Embed here is a keyword, and the Google will show us a number of different services that we can choose from. Let's, for the sake of this webinar, let's pick this one, for example. And this service offers us different customization options, yeah, which doesn't matter for now. Let's say we customized it the way we need, and now we want to add it to our website. So what we're looking here is for the option embed. All we need to do is just to click on embed, and the service will provide us with the code snippet that we can just simply copy and go to our website, go to the HTML iFrame widget and paste it and save the change. Let's make it bigger, like this, for example. So now we have the countdown timer added to our website. So if you are to use any other service, the flow is going to be the same. So the keyword that you're looking for is embed. So you can add any third-party functionality that allows embedded using this iFrame widget. And now let's embed a different service. Say I'm a doctor and I need a scheduling tool so people can book an appointment. Boxmode does not have a scheduling tool at this moment, so we can use some third-party service instead. Again, we can Google something along the lines scheduling tool embed and pick a suitable service. There are lots of them, but for this webinar, let's use the zcal service. I find it convenient. They have a free version. It's simple to create a booking calendar. All we need to do is just to click on create a new link and follow the instructions. Like we can name it, then modify the availability and other options, and in the end we will get the link that we can open, and we will see here a booking calendar, yeah, that looks like this, and people can pick a date and the time and basically book a meeting. So how can we add it to the website? Again, this service offers the option to embed. So let's click on it, and now copy the code, go back to our iFrame widget. Let's remove this one and add it here and click on update like this. Now we have a booking calendar added to our website. So that's simple. And the last example for today, say we want to embed a Google Sheet or Google Doc to the website. So to do this, we need to open the Google Doc, for example this one, go to File, menu, click on Publish to the website, click on Embed, click on Publish, confirm, and copy the code again that Google will provide us with, go to the iFrame editor, paste it, update it, and the Google Doc will be added to our website. So the key takeaway here is that you can add any third-party functionality to your website that allows embedding. The flow for embedding is really simple. You can Google the widget you're looking for with the word embed added to the search query, pick a service, copy the embedded code, add it to the HTML iFrame widget, and save the changes. Hope it was easy, and this is it for the presentation part of today's webinar, and now we can move to the questions if you have any. and also to stay tuned for our recent platform updates, our news, etc. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can join our Facebook community, Facebook page, Instagram, LinkedIn. So you'll find all links in the description, and also my colleague will share it with you in the chat. I don't see that you have any questions for now. If you think of any question, again, you can join our Facebook group, and we'll add a post there where you can add your question, and within 24 hours I will get back to you. Thank you so much for your attention. I do appreciate your time and hope this webinar was useful and you learned something new. So see you next time, and goodbye.